starting the live stream.
You're doing a live stream?
We're live streaming from the drone to.
I guess it's live stream. There you go. Live streaming on YouTube. We're streaming. Just post this to my Facebook. Here in a second.
And we got some hats and some t-shirts we'll be giving out after.
Oh, don't, it's not hooked up. So,
It says just name, phone number, and email.
hey, Justin, I need to use your phone for the app here.
Yeah. Just put your name, email, and phone number, and just have a seat button.
Okay, well, when it's on, I'll see. Alright, guys. Alright, so first off, we're going to start off with everything pack, which is basically, this is the bottom pack here. Everyone can see. This is the original Ronin. You got your stand, you got your rails here. Micro red rocks, follow focus, or any kind of other follow focus, or zoom control, or anything like that. Your handles, your battery, or your RC bats, and then the other side, the top of the pack, comes with the gimbal, one battery, and 2 modules. It's usually what comes into it. You have a board here. Most cameras, like DSLRs, don't really have a lens, like the bracket that locks the lens. Here, the lens back and forth, you'll notice that you're getting a little bit of play. Canon is notorious for that. And so if you're using like most Canons, I know the A7S has a pretty good lens locking mechanism, but most of the DSLRs don't really have a great lens locking system, so you usually use a lens mount or a lens brace to help brace the lens and get any vibration, because that's the number probably why you're getting a lot of vibration in your motors, is if anything is loose, like anything. It could be one little, one of the Allen key pins that is in like the slot or something. If it's not screwed in all the way, you're gonna get a little bit of vibration. And if like I said, if anything is loose, you're gonna get vibration. It's not ideal. Quarter 20 and 3/8 screws, and then it comes with the Allen key set to adjust all of the different pins on the Ronin. So, what I'll start off with, I know some of you guys are familiar with the Ronin, and some of you are not, but I'll just run through a basic assembly of the Ronin here. So, you got this guy here, as I have presented here, are for like when you're on set, if you don't have camera being loose, essentially. It's just not good for the motors, and it's more secure, so if someone bumps it or anything, you're going to be alright. Come with all these straps here. It's basically, on the M, you actually have push-in buttons here. You just push in. But here, you just snap these out, just apply a little bit of force, and then you have a stand here. And it's really nice to have on set. But if you don't have something like, if you don't have like a platform that's this high on set or something, you can, and then this has got a baby pin receiver, essentially a baby pin receiver, DJI's version of a baby pin receiver, right up in here. So you're able to get on like a light stand or anything else that, you know, that you can rig it on. Essentially anything that has a pin, you can put this thing on and raise it up so you can have a guy who attached a bike mount to the back of his car. So wherever he goes, he can just have his Ronin built in the car, and then you know, just bring it out and put it on his bike mount. So there's that there. Then you got your obviously your RC. And then put these guys on here. And let's see what else do I got. Got this guy. So how it comes, these usually come extremely loose, but apparently this batch isn't the case. So usually you just want to make sure that these are they're out, because you can turn around and they can be like in, but your pan won't be able to pan all the way around. So you want to make sure there's nothing blocking the gimbal once you attach it. Because if it does hit anything, you're just gonna like cause it to like freak out, and like when it does freak out, it'll just go in all these different directions. And I'll get to how to stop that while it's turning from the remote. So you got it here. It does all come attached like this. Yes, to be very secure. So you might be aware of, they're based out of Orange County. They do make a quick release plate that goes on here. That essentially it's just a dovetail receiver that has like a 23/8 screw hole. So you can literally just pop this off and then pop it on a tripod, pop it on essentially any mounting system that you have available for you. You basically have to hold this pin, and then you just kind of lock her in there. Yeah, there we go. And then that's good to go. That's just the basic assembly of this right now. So that's how everything that comes with it, that's how you put it together, and everything like that. Alright. Oh, bring this down here. Alright, so first thing we're going to move to is balancing the Ronin. I know it's probably one of the most for pretty much majority of people to balance. You're basically finding your sweet spot on the center spot of this axis, and this axis with the camera. And depending on how you know, all the accessories like I was mentioning that you have on it will determine, you know, how easy it is to balance. Another good thing about Cinemilled, which unfortunately we don't have their product in store right now, but they make legs that these go to 10, and they make ones that go to 11 that just allow it for, you know, bigger cameras, the Aja, the Scion, or like the Alexa, or even the Red, or something that has, you know, you're going to have a little bigger lens on it, and you need it to be dropped a little bit more, especially if you have like a gold mount up here. You're not going to be able to tilt at all. You need that drop to be able to clear anything like that. And they also make extended arms so you can actually get that balance point. So that I've kind of come up with for getting kind of a pre-balance is so you just take the rods that were provided right here, and what you can do, you can kind of gauge all of or the center point of where your camera's at before you even on the Ronin. And that's a big thing too, because if you're working with like a wireless follow focus or an Anton Bauer big back or any kind of just wires and accessories, you want to build to exactly what it's going to have on it before you put on it, unless you're going to be accessing a P-tap or power, because that's, you know, you is obviously going to be coming from this, unless you're using a gold mount or a V mount that has a P-tap. You're going to go from that. So if you have that, you're going to be all right. But basically, you can put the camera on these rods, and you can kind of balance and figure out where your your center point for tilt. It's like a little like top heavy, so you can kind of figure out that like that's a little much. All right, so like this right here is like my center for tilt, and then you can take this and you can get your side, your roll axis, so you can kind of let's see. So about in the middle of this camera, like the 5D is like probably the middle of the 5D is like here, like this side of the camera. Like most of the weight is distributed on the left side or the right or the left side here. So that's an easy way to kind of gauge how what you're going to be expecting, and then you can also do something like this too and kind of figure out oh, not there, and then you can kind of figure out oh, not there. So you're going to be the balance point on this is going to be about like or so. So that's a a little easy way. I'll figure it out before you put it on it. And the Blackmagic camera is a pretty secure, although I do feel a little bit of play in here, so I'm probably going to put the lens mount on when I balance it. But basically, you can just kind of grab it here, and then you can feel that play, which that play is going to add to vibration, vibrate through the whole camera, and you might get a little bit of disturbance in the drone here, or in the Ronin. Let me grab these out.
Should we wait for a Q&A with you, or?
Yeah, just you chime in. Anybody.
What's your recommended maximum weight or your sweet spot as far as weight-wise?
Maximum weight, I would say, it says it can hold 16 pounds, but the Ronin's weight itself is about 9 pounds. So with the the extra added weight, you're looking at something close to 30 pounds. That you're going to be holding, which you got to understand. I mean, just like you said, can you hold this for 30 minutes?
Yes.
Hell no. Like you may after practice, after you build up those muscles and stuff, but it'll over the day of a course of a 10 to 12 hour day, you're going to be feeling it. But I would say the closer you get to 16 pounds, the harder the motors are going to work. But it just depends, like what's on it, like in terms of the balancing and stuff.
So are
like,
you including the Ronin as well for the weight, or just the camera itself?
Just the camera.
Okay.
Yeah. Because that's So the camera itself. You could theoretically put an Alexa on with you would need the extended arms for to be able to clear this, because you could go all the way forward on the plate and your end is just going to hit right here. So you need the longer drop and the longer legs to get out and make it as big as that. I'd recommend like a Fisher Dolly head or something a little bit more rock solid heavy for that, because the more weight, the more the motors are going to have to work, and the harder it's going to be to balance. Usually I like to keep around 10 to 12 pounds for my max, just so too much strain on the Ronin itself. So here, and so I knew that when I did this tilt axis, that I'm gonna have to be placing the plate somewhat far ahead, so I have enough room to go back and to make sure that, because it is really back heavy. So you just want to kind of gauge when I did that rolling, that your center of axis, so you know when you attach the plate, you're going to have enough room to modify it. So you can just use a 1/4-20 or a 3/8 the screws that are provided. Cameras like the C300 have like double taps, so I definitely recommend using a double tap, if you can. It'll just reduce any and just about all of the vibration. I'd also suggest, sometimes like the 5D, this camera plate doesn't seem to lock down as well. So I'll just use like shims or just business cards or something to fold underneath there, just to get a little bit more of a tight lock on it. So it's just like just putting on any other kind of like slider plate for a tripod or anything like that. I'll come over here and then we'll start bouncing this guy. Yeah. Alright. So basically the first thing you do is, well, I'll hook up this power real quick. So I'm just using one of the P-taps in the back to power the camera right now. Let's see, get this guy up in there. And you can do it however you want, really, but you just want to make sure that however you're doing, definitely don't want them, getting in the way of your pan or your tilt. So usually what I do is I take one and then just find a good way to strap it down. They do make pretty cool cable locks that you can attach on the top here that have just like a little clip that you can just clip a cable down into, and that can also help with that. But let's see. First thing you do when you're balancing your camera. So all of them are really helpful on the sides. So depending on what camera you use, if you use it a lot, then you know that you know where the measurements are that are good for that camera. So it's good to either write those down or just to have those numbers in your head, so the more and more you do it, the quicker you can balance it, everything like that. Or you can just leave here, and here to what you want them to be for that camera. And then really the only other thing you have to do is make the slider plate it's in a good location. So usually when I first put it on, I'll just hold the roll here and then just kind of see, okay, it's kind of going, and I'll get a decent balance. And usually what I do, sorry if I'm blocking you guys' view, but usually what I'll hold this, and then I kind of keep a good plate, and then just kind of nudge it. It's really just locking, because the plate does tend to like slide like this a little bit side to side, and I think it's just the design of the Ronin that does that, because it does it with the Mark III too. And you can just nudge it forward and then just kind of get a good sweet spot. So that looked about good right there. And then so that's just a basic, not really rock solid for that measurement. That's just so it's not like whoosh once you let it go. So the next thing you do is you're doing the vertical right there, and that's pretty solid right there. Maybe a little bit down on each side. But it is a little bit of a process, and the more and more you balance, the easier it'll get every single time. So now, it's not bad. All right, let's do it a little bit higher. One of the things that you want to definitely make sure of is that you're getting these two legs and the exact same, because they've made it to where you can torque it a little bit on each side, and if they're off, the tilt motor here, like you were saying, and it's going to jitter. It might be okay for a while, but you'll do a quick movement, and then it'll just lock up, and then you'll need to readjust it. So you want to make sure that those are.
So, of course, Ronin the manual doesn't do you any justice in the box. So you go to YouTube, and of course you watch the thousands of instructional videos.
Yes.
So one of the videos I just recently saw was, they say that depending on the weight of the camera, it says that the motors get stiff.
Yes.
What do they refer to that?
So when they refer to the stiffness, okay, so that's one awesome thing I love about the Ronin, because I love my gritty handheld shots, and I love to have those really crazy handheld shots, and I love to be able to go from that to a completely smooth, rock solid dolly shot. So what that stiffness allows you to do is, so if say that it was on right now, I could go like this and it would react and it would stiffen. So when you push it, it would go. So when you're running with it, if the stiffness is super low, you're gonna get a shaky video. You're gonna get a shaky. So it's the lower the stiffness, the more shake you're gonna be able to get, and it's gonna be more of that handheld, gritty, raw look rather than like, you know, just the smooth dolly Ronin Steadicam shot that it's known for. So you're able to adjust that stiffness depending.
You
And
can
so
adjust the stiffness on the motor.
exactly. So, and it makes them, if you want that rock solid, that shot, that's like a dolly shot or something like that, you want them to be stiff depending on the motor. So when you do the auto calibration in the app, you're going to be say it was a Red Epic with a follow focus and, a compact prime lens, or something like that, the stiffness is going to be way higher than the Blackmagic. And it's just compensating for its weight, and so the adjustments are there for how heavy that camera is. So it's ramping the power up on the motors. And when you reduce that, it's allowing more play.
So auto-cal adjusts the stiffness of the motors?
Yes, automatically.
Or you can override that?
Or you can override it and bring them down manually yourself. Which, for people who want to have a handheld type shot look, I usually refer to the Born series for that.
So are they going to come out with another, other than iOS app for it? Or?
As far as I know right now, they do have the assistant software for the PC, but they don't have the app for just like an Android device yet. That'll be coming out in the future. I don't really understand what their whole deal is with these apps. They just can't release them like everyone else.
Starting to deal with Apple.
I know, the thing is they have it with Apple, but it's crazy they can't do it with the next thing you do is you just kind of bring it down, and you can kind of be adjusting the slider the whole time throughout doing the roll and the tilt adjustment, and it's just they in the app they're sketchy with it, but they don't really tell you in terms of really fine tuning the balancing on here. But usually after you do this, they want you to, but obviously you can see it's still a little bit front there, so I'll just release this and then just slowly slide it forward. Another thing I'll talk about before I go into this balancing is let me get this, come on. One thing I'll talk about before I get too much in the balancing is those screws and making sure they're tight. There we go. All right, so here. It's on the back here, 2 on the side. If you can run your thumb over them and you can feel them, then they're not tight, and they need to be tighter. Even if they feel like this thing is like rock freaking tight, like that pin in there isn't all the way in. To be all the way in, or you're gonna get some sort of vibration. So you can loosen them up here, and then you can kind of take your tool, whichever one works here. Where's my other tool? Let me get the tools out here. Do I not have it? Here. Let's get an Allen right here. So it comes with 3 pins. I mean, it comes with 3 Allen keys, so I'm just missing the other one. But this right here, you basically just, so you'll just loosen this, not all the way, you never want to loosen them all the way. Like they tell you that in the app, and there's a spring in there that holds that, like gets it real locked tight. So basically you just hold this pin, and then you can just screw this in until it's past that, and have it poking out. It's also cause vibration. So this one's can just hit, and then you're good. So that's you kind of look over them, because over time after the pin is gonna eventually kind of come out of its. So now that we've got the vertical here, we're good there. Now you're gonna move on to roll. So basically with roll, it's kind of like you were balancing a Steadicam. So you see how it kind of, if it was whoosh, then you really know you have to make an adjustment. But, so I'm here, goes down. It's a little bit. So it's a little bit too much to the right there. So you just kind of, same kind of, that's one thing to watch out for. But, no, it's a little bit more that way now. Let's see. And it's, they say 5 minutes? No. No 5 minutes.
No.
I'd say 15 minutes. 15, 20 minutes. Once you're okay. Because one camera, like I said, you can kind of get your adjustments for it, and then you kind of have your number readings out here, and you're able to do it. All right. So there. All right. So now I should be able to put it like this. Barely move, if any. Yeah, and then you should be able to move the camera, and it should stay wherever you put it. So that seems pretty good with the tilt. Do that. All right, we're good there. There's a little bit of slight movement in the tilt still, but you could keep fine tuning this all day if you really wanted to. It really is like, much of a pet peeve it is to you to get this thing rock solid. But let's see. All right, that's good. All right.
One
What's up?
thing that Ronin I was attracted to Ronin is when the Mobi first came out,
Yeah.
the price tag scared me.
Yeah.
Of
Like
course,
15 grand, right?
15 grand.
Yeah. Boom.
And then at NAB when they came out with it,
Yeah.
it was like at 5, and then they released it at 3.
Yeah.
So, but throughout all of the information about the Ronin,
Yes.
they gave you the perception you could use it as a one-man guy.
And you can.
Okay? Can?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so that's why I asked you about the thumb control.
Yes.
So
Well, the thumb control.
how do I operate it? And this may be a question
one
later
first?
on. And if I don't have
Well, if you're, let's say, okay, well, if you're shooting at a high f-stop, you're gonna have a lot of in focus, depending on how much light you have, artificial or natural. So, well, that's one thing that you don't need to follow focus like that. If you're using, a wide-angle lens at an f11 or higher, you're gonna get everything in focus, relatively. I mean, from here, 4 feet to the lens, probably not gonna be in focus, but everything else to infinity is theoretically in focus. The thumb control will help you to have complete control over pan, tilt, and roll. Smooth flow, I think that's what it's called. And that will allow you to, depending on your movements of the Ronin, will either pan, tilt, or roll, depending on you guys that up on the screen. But I'm gonna do the pan adjustment. So we did everything else. We're pretty good there. Everything seems to be balanced. So you basically just have this here, and there's a few ways to do this. Everybody does about balancing. Every freaking person does it different. At least a few the videos I've seen. So basically, you can have it on here, and you put the handle up, and if you see any movement in the it can be like the tiniest movement, but if you see any movement in the pan, you need to adjust it. If I go all the way forward here, I'll show you what you're going to see if it's out of whack. So if you go like this, it's just going to... So basically, you're getting, the weight of the Ronin from the back. So right now, it's extremely top heavy. So you just... and you just bring it back to adjustments. This is the best adjustment on the whole thing because it's the
I didn't
easiest.
even know those pins pull out.
Oh yeah, so yeah, there you go.
They don't tell you that.
No, they don't. They don't tell you that at all. So you basically just are getting the weight from here to here, and to get the weight off the motors. So now we're getting it back. So we're still a little maybe tiny adjustments, but this the easier to adjust because it's just that roll. So all of these could have been the roll, but they don't want to make it easy for you. So now adjustment the other way, so you can just slightly that pan until you barely get any movement whatsoever. Let's see how that works.
So that has nothing to do with, like, if you put a bubble level on there, would that make any difference? Lower it out to a bubble level?
Not really, no. You're not, because technically, but you'd have like on the center. If there was an imaginary plate in the center, then that would need to be center. But if you do it from here, and the tilt, the roll and everything, You could do them all independently of each other, and that might work, but you would need a bubble on each.
Okay, so I was just talking about a bubble level on that back arm here.
Oh, well, yeah, that would help. Yes, indeed. Yes, if you had a bubble level, like probably on the back here, then yeah, that could.
So you would want that perfectly
Yes.
horizontal.
Yes. Yes. So now I lift it, any rotation whatsoever. Do it, which there's several people online that do it this way, and they suggest you do this but then you face it this way, and then you also do an adjustment this way. Just to double check the weight. We're good here, and we've pretty much balanced our Ronin. And, you know, if you do, which is basically you just it's a very, they make it to where they want to be basic, a basic balance. It's a little bit more than that. But let me just make sure that cable's good. All right, cool. So I need let's bring on. Let's do your phone. Let's do your phone. This.
Do you find some cameras easier to balance than others, or is it just the more crap you have on it, the harder it is to balance?
I feel like the more crap on it, it's a little easier to balance. Yeah, I mean, it depends. If you have like a long lens on it, you're going to, you know, I feel like it's easier because if the camera is heavy and the lens is heavy, then you have a little bit more of a better weight distribution. And if you have stuff on it, you can, or depending on it, you can place stuff up with the balance. So if you had like a lens like this with a micro, like a wide focus, it would help to balance back to the front, and it would be a little easier to balance. Lighter cameras are harder to balance. It's designed to hold somewhat of a large camera, but if you put like a pocket on here, another thing. I'm glad I remembered that because
That's the reason. A lighter camera has tighter tolerances. For the heavy camera, your tolerances are actually larger, so it's easier. For that reason.
yeah. And so right here on the roll, there's an Allen key right here. If you're using an extremely lightweight camera, you almost always have to adjust the roll right here to get a good roll balance. And it's just because it's like the motors, they almost sense like it just doesn't, it's just to balance because it just doesn't recognize it as much. So either you have to bring it a little bit to the right or bring it a little bit to the left, and that'll help with like especially with the A7S or like
I thought the other way.
Yeah.
The lighter the camera would be,
the easier it would
balance.
be. Yeah. And that's the thing is like a Blackmagic Pocket is actually probably the same weight, if not a little, just the arms here. So it's like it just like the heavier it is, the more weight sits on it, the bigger, the heavier center of gravity going down. It's just you're dealing with more weight, and so it's easier to deal with more weight rather than it being extremely light.
So true with the M?
No, the M. I found the M to be a little bit better with that. It's extremely light. It's a heck of a lot lighter, but it's as much trouble balancing like the Pocket Cam or like the A7S compared to this. And I think it's just the lighter components. They're just built for lighter, smaller motors. Everything is smaller, and it's just designed for more of a lightweight feel. So when you do put a Blackmagic Mini on here, it doesn't feel like a fly landed on it. Rather, like this one feels like it's like it barely recognizes that it's even there. And if you, oh yeah, Blackmagic Pocket Cam.
Oh.
Sorry, I get them. BMPCC, all them acronyms. I can't. It's hard for me to keep them all.
Like
Keep them all
your
track.
hands on one. So.
No, I know. I wish. My roommate's pre-ordering one right now, so we'll see what they look like. So basically, when you're done balancing, you just press and hold the battery to get it to turn on. And one of the unfortunate things about the Ronin is they're the exact same batteries, but the only difference on the two is literally this clip right here. Clip on the bottom of it for no apparent reason. whatsoever. It does have a little lip here that it does clip down into, but it's literally the exact same battery.
But you couldn't use the M on the original?
What?
The battery?
No,
Ah,
you couldn't. Yeah, and it's very annoying because the batteries are 129 a piece, and they're not interchangeable. Even though they're the exact same wattage hour, exact same voltage, exact same milliamperage, exact same charger, this piece is the only thing. So
what do you find on time-wise? Do you get battery
four
usage?
4 hours.
4 hours.
4 hours. You can extend that. I've found that, you know, when I'm using the cinema camera, I get about 3.5 hours out of it. If you're using down to like 3 hours, because if you're doing a lot of movements with the remote control.
Did you P-tap the camera with that battery?
I did P-tap the battery, or the camera off of the P, which is providing 12 volts of power to the device. Let's see.
Initial balance with or without cables all inserted.
All cables inserted when you balance it. Batteries, every single thing that you have on this needs to be on it when you balance it. So you have the.
That's been throwing ours off when we try to use when we connect the cable. Like sometimes it'll interfere by clipping.
Yeah.
If you have like a way to wire it correctly.
Yeah, it's really just just figuring out the way you can torque the wire into getting into a good position where it's not going to affect tilt or pan, especially if you have an onboard monitor or something.
Yeah.
Then you would have to go like HDMI down here, and really this might be a good example of the cord. Pass it off to you, but it's super loose. It's lightweight, and it's easy to move. Where's that other HDMI cable that I had? Oh, right here. Like this HDMI cable is super stiff. Earlier when I was testing this stuff out, that cable, no matter how I it off or something, it would always pull. Like it would, and even if it didn't, or it would always it wouldn't pull up here, but it would on here. And so I would recommend using just the lightest weight cable you can get.
Using stiff SDI.
Yeah, that's gonna be really difficult. But I would, at the same time, the shorter, however length you can get, because once you get past here, you can lock them up here, using zip ties or whatever else, and then wherever they're going beyond that, it's fine. But it's just getting them out of the way, trying to get them to be as loose as possible. So when you are doing tilts and pans, the strength of the cable isn't, because that's usually what does it. Not something pulling it, but just the stiffness of the cable limiting like the tilt or something. Just especially getting especially for the 5D and most other cameras, I'd recommend getting right angle adapters. If you're doing SDI, definitely right angle adapters, and those will to help a little bit. So okay, so now we have this up and we're ready to go. This is the application. It's available on Android devices, iOS devices, and this will basically be your interface unless you have to upgrade the firmware. If you have to upgrade the firmware, you go into the micro USB port on the side here, straight into your computer, and then you go through the assistant software on your computer, which I will show you a demo of. It's very cool. It's exactly like the Android or iPhone app. It's just a little bit different. And let me see. Get this guy going here. And my computer's the slowest thing in the earth. Okay, so when you first hook it up, my remote. All right, I won't turn the remote on. If you're not going to use the remote, just don't turn it on. Like, it's really the easiest way to, and this is where we're getting to your guy here, the single operator. So if you're not going to use it, just don't turn it on, because the controller, the RC, is going to take priority over the onboard controller. So if you have the remote on, it's gonna conflict with the smooth track settings of the single operator. So here is just the DJI Assistant software app. You can get it off their website, and it's really. Let's see if I can. Oh, I can't make it any bigger. Anyways, it's the exact same interface as just a little bit simpler to use than this. This puts all of your settings on like one or rather than this is a little bit more split up or anything. I haven't done anything yet. So you go to motor and then auto tune stability. Are you hooked up to it? I'm hooked up to it. And then exit the app and then open it back up. And that's another thing. If you get disconnected with the Bluetooth, the only it says reconnect and to retry to reconnect, and it'll scan for the the device, and then you just use Bluetooth to connect.
And on initial setup, you did auto-tune stability before configure system or calibrate system.
Done that with this at all?
Okay.
Yeah. To putting this on because before you guys were here, I had the 5D on it.
Okay.
So what's going on?
How do you initiate the Bluetooth searching on that?
It's on. So
It's
the
on
minute
all
you
the
turn it on,
It's
it's
fine.
you don't need a bind. It's how you bind the remote.
There we go.
Oh man. Oh, there we go. All right, cool. So this is the settings before. Those were the settings. So you just go into motor, and then these are the settings before auto tune stability. So if I do auto tune stability here, it's going to its correction here, and then we'll see. There we go. So you'll see that tilt motor just kind of jerk a little bit. If you're getting extreme noise, then turn it off and try to a little bit better. But that tilting motion is for the Ronin, and the Ronin-m is a little bit different. It will calibrate each motor separately. So it will make noise on the tilt, the roll, and the pan. So it'll go vrr, 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 and then it'll be done. But a lot of people, from what I've talked to them, have had issues if they're like, "What? Like what's going on?" So let's see. Looks like it's still auto tuning.
Is the M noisier?
You can turn on silent mode on the Ronin-m, and the app is has a little bit different features than the Ronin, which is like you can turn off roll, so you're just completely unable to roll whatsoever. Able to, I don't know why. There's really no not.
When you say roll, what do
Your
you
phone
mean?
sucks.
Roll.
Let's just get a
What do you mean,
steering.
roll?
What do I mean by roll?
Yeah. On that horizontal, okay.
Yeah, so like a Dutch angle. So that's something you're able to turn off. You're to put on silent mode, which is really tight, minute adjustments, instead of and it just I don't really see a whole lot of difference because it ain't too noisy to begin with. But if you do have the ability to put it in silent mode.
Because it's mirroring.
Or is that why it's so slow?
Yeah.
Don't touch it yet. Don't tap it again. So it's doing its auto tune again. Alright, it should be done now. Can you actually, you know what? If you're gonna turn off the mirroring, here, actually, I'll just use your phone to show them the setting. We'll be good from there. Alright, so I'm gonna end up using my phone because his phone's not working out here. Can you turn your Bluetooth off and everything?
Yeah.
Alright, so I'm just gonna power cycle. Sorry guys for this little bit of interruption.
Real?
Yes, real world issues.
Question, while you're running and gunning with it, you can't really hook up any audio to it, because we try to put a shotgun mic on
Mm-hmm.
to the 5D,
Yeah.
I can hear the motor.
Yeah, yeah. And so the Ronin itself doesn't have that, but on the Ronin-m,
does.
it does have a silent mode. But even with the silent mode on,
Still you can hear.
you get like a little bit of just it's just like a just got like it's almost like you get a slight like it's not vibration, but it's just like electromagnetic interference from the motors itself. So if you're if you're gonna do something on the arm here, having a shotgun up here, that dual system, having another.
There you go. But they make it seem like in the real
Let me see your phone. Do the
in the
mirror.
real world, I mean, we need to know as operators,
Yeah.
direct. I mean, we got to know that it's got to be a man show.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, if you're doing audio, yes. Have someone lobbed up, which that can be a one-man show. If you do have a lob or something. If you're doing red carpets or any kind of events, that's a little bit easier to do. Other than that, yeah. Thing I could suggest, put a mic up here. And then if you're either that or just if you're gonna do dual system, like the Zoom H6N is actually handy. You can use this monitor mount to do a cord and just have it up here, and then you have the ability to put 6 inputs in it. It has a shotgun and then a stereo adapter and also a dynamic microphone adapter as well. So I definitely would recommend that for doing type stuff. But other than that, I would say, shotgun up here. All right, so his I'm gonna show you with his doing all the settings with my phone. So I'm gonna do the auto tune stability here, and unfortunately you can't see it up here, but I'm auto now. It's doing its adjustments, and so right now I have 60 on everything. And my power on, so you have your power and your angle. So the angle is angled to adjust for the balance. And then the power is how much power it's giving to the motors. And you want it as close as possible. So I'm getting -1, 0, 0. And then they adjust. So so even though it says get to 0, they're never going to actually stay at 0. So if that's something you're worried about, just forget about that because it's not going to make a difference. If you really need to do an adjustment, like you put a new camera on here, you're going to go to more, and then you're going to go to calibrate system. So I'm going to calibrate the system. It's going to reset its 180-degree point in the middle. And it looks something like this. You can barely see it probably, but it just calibrates system, and it has a little loading bar. You just wait until that's done, and that's if you have a whole new rig you're putting on there. If I was shooting with a 5D and then switched to a C300, I would balance like I did and then calibrate the system, and then it's going to adjust itself for that new camera and do a rock solid adjustment for those.
For a lens change?
Yes, definitely for a lens change. If you change anything on it, yes. If you're doing a lens change, you're going to balance. Maybe not the roll, but you're probably going to do the vertical and the pan as well. For $2,500, it's awesome. The Movi's price, but it's still just as hard as the Movie, if not a little bit easier, but it's still. So then in this, I'll show you in this right here. This is where you're going to have any device list, especially if you're Ronin-m on an S900 or S1000. You can switch between the controller and the Ronin-m control, whenever. So you just go to device list and switch the connection to an A2 or something like that. Died. All right, and then let's see. We'll go back to gimbal. Man,
I think it's because of the mirroring,
your
because
phone's killing.
it's taking, and it's like out Bluetooth to mirror to the.
Well, it's not taking in Bluetooth because I don't have a control.
Touche.
Give them all the computer app as well.
Yes.
Plug in the
Yes. Yes, you're able to do that. You're able to do all that through the app as well as the can I use your phone, Doug? Sorry, this is what happens when you own a Samsung. Okay. Yes, the Ronin assistant, and then I just needed to. You can turn off your Bluetooth. I just needed to there now.
That's my big.
All right. Can you turn off the screen mirroring? What are you trying to do? Oh, I couldn't do it through my. Let's do that. You got HDMI? All right. All right, guys. Got it? Here, let me see. I got smaller fingers. Smaller hands. All right. Sorry, guys. We're gonna move along. Very quickly. Freaking wall mount. All right, there we go. Perfect. Cool. Show you from the application on the computer because our suck. So I'll get you here. Yeah. Perfect. Okay. So here we go right here. This is the app. So everything that I'm doing in here is mirrored in the iOS app. The gimbal was on. I calibrated the stiffness and I got the power and the angle. And so here is the turn on. If you have mode on, you're gonna be able to go. So right now, from the undersling mode to base mode, basically seamlessly. So seamlessly. You're not gonna. It's people. You've seen like the videos of them running with this, and they go like this. It's sometimes works, sometimes not so well. So you just bring it 180, and it's going for you, and then built up. You can set all track adjustments for that. So that's to do that, or that's on that first page. And on the app, it's in the more section, brief. And then you also have motor kill switch, which that's just an auto control here. So this is where we're getting operator, operation here. So right now, deadband is the response time of it panning. So when I let's see, I'll get my little platform here. So when I go here. This is like perfect right here. So when I turn it, the deadband is how much I have to turn it before. I feel like they made it for degrees of turn. If I do 90, I have to go more than to get it to pan. So basically, this is the deadband is how much it's going to respond to the movement of the operator. On top of that.
Where should it be on the?
Well, it's up to you.
If you want it.
If you want it, like I'll show you. So if I want it, I'll do 0. Do 0. You can do no. You can do 0. All right, cool. So I had my pan and my at 10, which is one of the lowest you can get it. It's on 0. So when I do it on 0.
Sensitive.
It is.
So the higher the number one.
You would think, but I'm gonna go to 90. Turn, and then it's not as you have to turn it a. And then for the tilt, I have it on 0 now. So if I tilt, and 36 on the tilt here. So now I have, and now as I turn, it's going to be a little mid-ground of, and it's really all just shooting, looking at the footage and testing it all out. Tilt down, it's going to come up.
The guy says where the DJI is on the handle,
Yes.
you can almost use that as an aimer.
So right here. So right now, my 180 is off. And so what you can flip the remote on to, right, let's see. You go here and you do calibrate center. So what you do is you look for the drone, of the Ronin, and you kind of look for there, and then you just, on the app, you just say calibrate center, and then you can use the remote to calibrate the center 180 degree line. So that looks pretty good. You just hit center, and it's going to readjust its 180. And so anything from, I'll turn the remote off now. Anything from there, you're going, and you know what? I had messed it up there because I wasn't changing my settings at all when I was doing the demo. I got into the control actually for this. So this is for you. It looks like my deadband, my speed, pan axis and tilt axis, and you have control over your speed, your deadband, and your acceleration. So the deadband is how it's going to react to you doing it. So is it going to take this much motion, or is it going to take this much motion? And then speed is how fast it's going to move once you reach that, once you reach it. And then acceleration, they're kind of on that, and when I do adjustments on it, a huge difference. But speed, they say once you hit that deadband, it's how fast it's going to reach that top speed that you set. So it's
solid supposed to control acceleration and deceleration.
The what?
It's supposed to also control
Deceleration?
I read that.
Okay. Well, I know that there's actually a setting for that. You might be thinking of another one, smoothing,
Okay.
which is, yeah, actually, it's going to smooth all your shots. Is what we're going to do with the remote. So if I go to like deadband, the 65, bring that down to 30, and then I raise that, or I bring that deadband down to 0, be a definite difference between. Now it's turning a little bit better with me. Can you switch my deadband to like 50? Deadband. There you go. 50. But the lower that deadband is, the more I move to get it to pan. And so now when I reach that axis, it's like, okay, now and it's going to readjust my center, and then now I have a little bit more ability. And now raise my speed to 100. All right.
There we go.
Be a little bit more agile with it, and then bring my acceleration. To be accelerating more to the end of the move rather than the beginning of the move there. So that's kind of like the smooth track motions here. Do you mind grabbing that? Yeah. All right. And it's the same for, tilt, speed, or make my deadband 0 on the tilt. The tilt axis there. There we go. And then when I raise up, you're going to get more of a reaction from it. And that's really the only way to singly without that thumb control. Because with that thumb controls, but you still have control over the and the tilt, and you're able to a little bit more adjustment there. But then also, if I do all the adjustments I made for that deadband or for that smooth track are going to translate to mode as well. And then is to go like this here, and you go upright mode. Literally, the only way to do it is just to just do this. It's going to adjust for everything like this as I said, because when the remote's on and the remote's off, it's going to always go to the settings track. So now it's stuff, and then afterwards you just have the footage, and that's relatively easy once you get to that point. But then to just flip it down, and then it'll readjust for the undersling mode. So now that's smooth track, and if you look in the gimbal, the first thing you get up is that motor and the smooth track. Two things you get. So the motor, right when you put your camera on, you're gonna auto stabilize. You're good. Smooth, not using a remote. So control is the next thing. Control is all settings for your remote. So if I turn this guy on, I'm going to react to all of my stuff. Right now you have panning and tilt. It's going to control your smooth track settings essentially. So if you use all the way up, it's turning smooth track off. If just to have it off, and usually, and most of the time anyway, you're using a remote, because if I just picked it up right now, it would do my settings that I had set for it. It would still hold those settings. If I did start to move the controller, then it would automatically take input from the controller. But see now, off, and I want to reset that axis. If you click this all the way down, set that smooth track to 180 degrees. That's a perfect. It's going to reset it to its center. So then you just flip it back on. That is leaving smooth track on. So if I'm not giving input from the remote, smooth track settings that I set for that. And then if you turn it off, it's just off. And in the app, it's under control. And then you can set controller priority to the remote, or you can set the controller priority to a thumb controller. And then you can have it either combined pan and tilt or independent. See if it'll do it on here without having to it doesn't. But so if I this will just turn to one column, and basically on this side is up is fast, middle is normal, and the third position down is the slowest. So those are speed toggle presets that I set for the remote for different environment, different shots, different stuff. I want really quick movements. I'm following a call, stuff really crazy, and have very movements of the Ronin. I'll leave it all the way up in my fast, and I'll have my presets set here how fast I want it to move, and then normal settings up there. So you just have them on a toggle right here. This down, and it's going to switch the presets that I set. So I have mine on like 150 and 30. So fastest, medium, slow. Pretty straightforward for that. And then so those are the switches up here. Smooth track settings up here, off, fast, normal, slow on the left here. And then on top of that, all your deadband settings that are also going to be a part of that speed toggle preset. So the deadband is onboard controller, onboard controller, onboard controller. Those thumb controller if you decide to get a thumb controller in the future. The remote operator obviously. So all of it. So right now, deadband is how quickly the remote. So now I have it at 36. So I'm moving this, and you're barely getting any. Like it's not sensitive at all. But if I go now and then it. So what? Latency between the remote and here. So that's just for 0 here. You're going to see it respond quickly to just the minute of 100 or 0 to 50, 0 to 30. Do 100% on the pan. Now I have to really. My remote is almost all the way here before it even starts. I mean, it's a second knob before I get any movement whatsoever. That's something.
That's deadband with the remote.
What?
That's deadband adjustment with the remote.
That is deadband adjustment for the remote, and that'll be labeled under control. And you have control over that for your tilt and your pan. Maximum speed. Works on like a curve, like an arc. So it's how fast, if you imagine a curve, it's going to, and then it's going to speed up, slow it down. So that's how they like to describe it. DJI likes to. So if I bring my speed down to 31, it's essentially the, I don't even know why I said the curve thing because that just confuses things. But it's just your maximum speed. So, you know, from center to here, it's going to really curve up. So I'm at, like, that was a 0. So, or that was, I'm at 100. So there says you can go 90 degrees in a second. It's very pretty agile. And then you so I do it.
What's that setting at now?
So that's smooth. That's on 0. 0. It's giving your input. So if I did that and then I brought it back slow, yeah, it's gonna be nice. But if I do this and then let go, it's done. It's stopped immediately. I do like see on the pan here. If I raise up to go to a 0, smoothing. But if I do that now, what it's gonna do when I pan, respond once I do it. So if I go here, that's at 30. So now I'm doing this and I let go and it's smooth. Check that. Yeah, speed is completely still maxed out. So if I put it on 30, it's just gonna, I'll give it input and then it's going to 15. That way I know I'm not going to be like going past my shot. You know, like the shot's here and then I do it and it's gone and then it's like, oh, and then just kind of, it's like, so 15's pretty nice. That way when I stop, it'll smooth it just enough to get the shot where I want it, but it's not going to, so here, it's just going to smooth it enough. So it's not just like a jerky, yes. It's basically, yeah, it's feathering the sensitivity of your remote to points, which are right here for the pan axis and the tilt axis. The maximum for tilt is 4 degrees up, so it can't go that, and the tilt down is 120 degrees. It can go all the way up to 120 degrees, so I can actually go. I'm going to go back to 90. That seems like a good limit. And then for this, you're able to set it to, you know, these 20 degrees this way, 20 degrees this way. And that's like that's the only points. Go past 20 degrees this way or 20 degrees this way. But if you don't want it to have any bounds whatsoever, then you can set it both to 0. That's going to make it to where it can spin fully 360 degrees without having in its way. But I test. So that's another thing. Test the tilt axis. So I just accidentally press that on the app, and it'll axes for you. So if I set it at 40, yes. What's up? Track mode right now. Still hinder it to that 45, no matter what.
Is that with or without an operator? Or
with an operator or without. If I turn this remote off, all of those settings I set for this are not to that. It's going to go back. It's going to go back to the settings. The smooth track right here. It's going to always to those settings when you turn off the remote. But the settings I set in here when the remote's on, even the limits, it's going to limit it. You're still utilizing that smooth track because you're able to turn that off, that smooth track off. So I'll show you. You're able to turn it off to where the camera will just lock its position, and then it won't move. The operator gives it control. Let's see. So I go to smooth track. I'll turn off smooth track. So now, when I pick this guy up, no matter what what the hell? Maybe it's because the remote's on and I have smooth track on. So there you go. Like that, I just turned smooth track mode off in the app and it didn't go off because my remote's on and I had it on the remote. Now, right now you can turn smooth track mode off and it's going to keep its position no matter what you but once smooth track is initiated, then you're
What was the function that you had for the 360 again?
those are the endpoints, and those are in the app and in the assistant. The only thing that's bad about this assistant app is you're not able to up, do the adjustments and do it. Like the phone, you can bring it up, pop it, put in your thing, done.
It was, we have that Kessler Pro Jib,
Yes.
have the Cinemill, inverted the
The device, yeah.
the device,
Yeah.
and now I can get a 360 while I got it in the air.
Yeah. Yeah. It'd be sick.
Yeah, it's a sick shot.
Yeah. Oh man, I've had my fly down the whole time. Sorry guys. My zipper broke. All right, so oh, and then you're able to only turn on pan smooth track. Pan smooth track on now, I believe. Let's see. Oh, I still have to turn this back on. Back on, whereas it's only going to pan. Oh shit, no it didn't. Here, bring this. It has to be moving around up and down, all that shit. That's all right. So if you back off, you into your settings, and you're able to turn just the pan on. So now that you're able to just turn. Come on, what the hell? Maybe I'm just losing my mind. Here, it's difficult. I'm going to be doing the operator, the remote off, because it's just going to complicate things. Like I just did now, turning off smoothing in here, the smooth track, but which I'll just say autopilot. Like you're turning off in here, but since the remote's on and has it on, it's not listening to this, it's listening to this. So that can complicate things if you get to a point to where
I just noticed when you're turning off the hand remote, there's a
yes, which is the opposite on the Ronin-m.
Okay.
And when it's off, it's red. You know, they like to make it really difficult for you. So now you to some people's belief, you're not changing any of these things. In terms of you're able to change it, reverse, make it pan, make it tilt. You're able to make. It's hard to show you guys, but so 0 is this guy. Channel. Let's see, what is this channel? Yeah. So channel 0 are going to be controlling your tilt and your pan. This guy right here, and then roll is your channel 4. And so here or the app, it's the same way in the app. You're able to change what you have set for customization, whatever you like. So and then you're able to also to where down is up, inverted controls. These comes in handy that you know, if you're using a Futaba or a Spectrum or something like that, a controller that's used with copters.
Why would you do that?
If you're flying an S900 or S1000, one of the octocop from the gimbal, and then you can flip a toggle switch like this, and it'll go back to the copter. Because on some of the more advanced remotes, you could set your copter to hold out, and then you switch over to gimbal, and then you're able to get your gimbal shots from the air, and what else ever you want to do, switch back and start operating the copter. So that would be something you would do if you were just by yourself. More than half the time, you're never anyways, because there would be an operator for this and an operator for the copter. But if you ever did need to do something like that, you could do that.
So actually putting that Ronin on
Yes, not this Ronin, this Ronin.
Mini.
Yes, they're using that Ronin, the plate, and they're putting that on the bottom and snapping it on. And it's from what I've seen, it's awesome. So I definitely look into him is 8 pounds. The device itself is about 8. No, the device is 5.5 pounds. 5.5 pounds. Only handles 8. This handles 16. The drops are different for about an inch on each side. You have about 120 mil from messing up my measurements here. We can adjust it more just so you guys can have correct measurement. measurements on these things. Yeah, so we're looking at 140 millimeters on this is the max depth. Is 8.5, 8 3/4 inch on this, or no, 8 3/4 inch on this, and about 7 3/4 inch on this, and then the width 195 millimeters, which is about 7 inch, and then you're looking at about 6 3/4 on, sorry, the Ronin, 7 3/4 width, 3/4 width. So it's drastically down on that. Oh, I got disconnected. So, app and then reset your app.
Does it have an auto shutdown, auto standby?
It doesn't have an auto standby or an auto shutdown. You know what? It does. If it goes into, if you leave it still for 10 minutes, it's going to cut supplies, and it's going to cut the Bluetooth description or the Bluetooth output. Now we're gonna go. I went to channels, and you're able to change those. Like I said, reverse them, tilt, change which control. You have your settings, which I showed you that, which in the app, but in here it's in control, which is the presets, which I was telling you about the remote. You're able to automatically switch those toggle switches. Here you got, and then here they don't have it, but on here you have a viewer. You're able to see the power and the angle at which the motors are running, which is also, if you, it's going to show you the exact same thing. It's not really something you need to be totally aware of, but or concerned about. What you need to look at is when you do that auto-tune stability in the beginning, is to making sure you're not going over 10. Just you're working the motors extremely hard, and it's going to take more battery life, and it's going over the time. You're need to get serviced or something like that. So then we have, if we go back to here, which these settings are here, but in the app it's in more. So you have briefcase mode, which I had on. I did that conversion. You saw that I was able to just seamlessly go to the briefcase mode. And then there's also a motor, which if I click that, it just killed the motors. So now it's I can move it. It's fine, and that is something that if you have the app open, you can easily just kill the motors. If I just it's gonna pop back to life. Another way to do it is if you don't have the application, this toggle switch on here, you up and down 3 times, and it just killed them right there. So if it starts, and I'll show this guy. So I was gonna tell you, you were having your turn it back on, but if you run into an issue, there's a motor kill switch here. There's a motor kill switch here. Rotate this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It just killed. Oh no, sorry, wrong one. So here, the left switch. You go 1, 2, 3, 6, 7. Ah, crap! I just turned it back on. So right off.
So
It's 3 times.
3 times.
Yes, 3 times up and down, and then motors, and then you're good to go.
Yeah, that's what freaked us out, where we're doing a complete 360 out of control.
Yeah,
And of course, how do you turn it off?
exactly.
You got to try.
Yeah, either go for the battery or you.
Because there's where the office.
Exactly, and that's what we were doing, before.
So you had to grab it.
Yeah.
Cat out of control.
I know, yeah, and
Okay.
you hear it scream too.
Yeah.
So 1, 2, 3 to go there, and it'll kill the motors. You can save time. It also you have pretty much covered everything in. Other than I've pretty much covered everything there with the modes here, and switching off the smooth track here, your fast mode, fast, normal, and slow mode here. All of the settings for the control in terms of deadband, max speed, smoothing, point, channels, and the settings. And then gimbal, you can go into the. You see your stiffness. Oh, and that's another thing I didn't really I talk about too much, but the stiffness. So that's it reacting, and that's how stiff it is. raise that tilt axis stiffness to 100, I'm not going to be able to push it. It's going to be harder. See how fast it snaps back? So that's things. I wouldn't recommend doing that to your Ronin either, by the way. It's not, you know, it's not going to hurt. You know, doing it over time. I'll show it to you. The roll axis and the pan axis, going like how it adjusts. So the lower that goes, like let's see, I can try it out with the tilt. So I'll bring it all the way down to 0, and I'm gonna be able. The only reason you do this is to like I was telling, I don't know if you heard, but if you're doing like a handheld shot, and it would take way too long to disassemble this, put it on a handheld in the time shot. So thing I want to talk about, which are a few more features on this guy, and I can balance this guy up pretty quick. I think I've already balanced it a little. I just gotta get these. Let's see, right there, there. Relatively good. Let me go here. All right, a little bit top heavy here. All right, there we go. Go up here, and it's exactly the same, literally exactly the same adjustments on this as the and I just want to show you some features on this guy that are a little bit different. Ronin in terms of like the app, and you're going to have control over in the app other than what you have control over in Ronin's app, which you're able to have that silent mode. Hey Doug, do you have the light bridge? Mm-hmm. I want to get that. So we have this one set up with LightBridge, which is a digital video transmitter that DJI supplies. It goes for around, I think, $12.99 with LightBridge. Yeah. So LightBridge goes for $12, and it's essentially like a Terra deck or a Paralink. I wouldn't, personally, like the Terra and the stuff, or a Terra deck's ideal if you can afford it. Paralink is the best option, but this LightBridge doesn't work so well if it's not line of sight. Like if it's line of sight all day, you're gonna get a crisp HD signal. You're not getting 1080p, you're getting 7. Almost adjusted here. They don't so much because they're really light, super flexible, and I haven't had any issues with it. But mess with it a little bit. Let's see what's going on.
So they just free fall?
Yes, the antennas just will free fall, it seems after everything I've said, you wouldn't think that would work, but it does slightly. Let's see. And then I'll just kind of get a good roll balance here.
Because this one's dying. Yeah, we have to sign into that one first. I know.
The roll's basically almost good.
Do I do it? Yeah.
Go. And that a little bit here. Have a ball.
So what's the price point?
The price point on the Ronin-m is $1,300. $1,399. Sorry, you got it. Yeah, I'm not so much of a seller as an operator. But so then now we just adjust. This is way off. So we're gonna bring this guy back a little bit. It's a little bit easier on the Ronin-m. The Ronin-m's got a little spinning knob back there that you just rotate, and you're good to go on that. And surprisingly enough, I wasn't able to get my Mark III tilt adjustment yesterday. Very solid, and when I I did my adjustment, my auto tune stability, my tilt running from 1 to 0, and I thought it was going to be a huge deal, and it was very small. So now you just have to bring this guy, very small tune adjustments for the back. This guy's almost always, if you're using a Mark III or a Mark III or like the heavier end cameras that go on these, I'd say that, you know, you're looking at always having that pan adjustment like all the furthest back it can go. That's fine. But, you know, maybe we'll hear some buzzing and you'll see what's up. Because earlier I was getting some buzzing from this, so I think something's loose.
Make a difference to adjust the panning with the battery health?
Oh yeah, it would make. Thank you. No, you know, I mean, no, I did mess that up. And that's what several times is to make sure you have every single thing. I'm getting a little bit that way, so a little bit. So alright. Not horribly perfect, but it works. Alright, so way do this out, and we'll see how well I actually balance this thing.